Welcome to the Inspire and Learn series. We are TMG Yachts, a multi-award winning dealership in Australia specialising in multi-hulls, power and sail. Join us as our expert team teach you all about anchoring, docking, rigging, sail trim, maintenance and so much more, so you can build confidence in your boat handling ability.
In this episode, we take a look at the underwater profile of a Lagoon catamaran and explain some of the things to look for during routine maintenance and servicing. Enjoy!
Welcome ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rowan from TMG Yachts and I'd really love to show you something we don't get to see very often here when we do our videos. Most of the time we're on board showing you the glitz and glamour and all the key features of these boats, but we never really get to see them out of the water like this. With the Lagoon 46 that you see behind me here, we always wonder how do we get so much volume of the interior. From the Lagoon 450, which is its predecessor, they've actually managed to add about 2 cubic meters into each hull on the interior of each hull and about 4 cubic meters in the main saloon. But while we're here in the final stages of the commissioning process of this boat, let's have a quick look at this boat from here on the ground level, looking down the hull and also between the two hulls, and point out some key features and attributes of this boat. As you see here, under the waterline really has never changed with these boats, but they've added a flare on the outside hull and also on the inside hull, and all this is above the waterline, so it really hasn't impacted the streamlinedness of these hulls and made them larger underwater, so they can still sail and perform quite nicely. But as you see on the inboard side here, it is quite drastic, and you really, where you see this extra volume is mainly in the forward cabins. So you have on the port side of this boat a nice full large queen bed with semi walkarounds. And it's exactly the same size as the aft cabin, which is generally a lot larger, so no one's really going to be arguing about which cabin is more superior or better to get. So you see we've got the flare here. Something else I'd really love to point out with this boat, we're stepping away from volume, is this here, which is the gull wing, which we like to kind of call our insurance premium for these boats. As you can see, it comes to a nice fine point in the center here. What that does is actually, as you're coming into waves, it's a deflection, so it'll come, it's not just a completely flat surface as you'll see with a lot of catamarans, which adds additional slapping of the boat when you're at sea or at anchor. So a nice deflection point. What it also helps is if you had a following sea and you're going down a wave, that you're not going to bury the bow. With this deflection or the gull wing, it's going to disperse the water and with the buoyancy, pop it right up out of the water. A really nice feature that Lagoon do on all their new models. As we make our way down here, you'll see we have lots of clamshell fittings scattered around the boat. These also deflect water for any drains on deck, in lockers, and also scuppers, things like that throughout the boat. As we continue down, there's a few things here for if you've those with a boat. These are good service points to keep an eye on when the boat's out of the water. It's good to have a good visual and understanding of your boat and make sure everything's intact as each service period rolls around. As we're coming here, this boat has been freshly anti-fouls, and you'll see we have lots of skin fittings, their water intakes, drain discharges. We've also got depth sounders, water temperature gauges. This one here is a water pickup. So it has a grill in it, and the purpose of the grill is to obviously stop any big, larger objects coming up. Jellyfish too can be pretty pronounced in getting inside of intakes. So always make sure at your service periods that you pull the grills off, have a clean around, and also clean out any barnacles. These are generally for intakes like water makers, generators, things like that. As we step a little bit further back, we have ground earth plates. So you'll see this is where everything comes to give the boat a nice grounding to the water for helping with the electrical system. Also where a lot of these fittings are tied into. As we continue further back, big window here, this is an emergency escape. These are a requirement for CE and for safety. Also a nice little observation when you're underway to be looking through here and seeing the water. In the olden days we used to have opening hatches. That has transitioned, seals, things like that became hazardous and became service points. So now it's a nice fixed window with nice mechanical fixings to hold all the windows in place. Another very big important feature of these boats is the mini keel. As you see, we don't have a deep draft with these catamarans. We don't have dagger boards that go up and down. So being a cruising cat, a nice mini keel like this is perfect. Gives us a nice shallow draft, getting close to the beaches. But as you can see here, it's probably hard to see on camera, but we have a little shoes that we put on the bottom of these keels. So if you do have any unplanned groundings, or planned groundings for that matter, you've got a nice bit of protection between the bottom and also the actual integral part of the keel of this boat. Nice thing once again to keep an eye on in case you've had any groundings, if you've hit anything underway, just to keep an eye on these bits to make sure they're all in sound order. This here, we've got a nice big deck drain on this boat. So this is one of the biggest drains on the boat to stop any water. Once again, a CE requirement. So if you've got a big following sea wash of water that came in, that it will actually hit a big large drain just before the main saloon doors and comes out a 4-inch hole. As we make our way a bit further back, this boat has a hydraulic platform. This is a great feature on the Lagoon 46 and their larger models. But once again, good to keep order of it. We've got hydraulic lines, got rams, and we've also got other integral parts of dynamic rope that help lift and make these platforms move up and down. So keep a good eye on these at every service point. Coming to the last couple of items of the boat, we have our rudders. Obviously these rudders are moving parts connected via cables to the main helm. It's always good to give them a bit of a wobble, make sure there's no, you're always going to have a little bit of play, but not too much play. It'll be quite obvious if the bearings are fading over the years, but good to keep an eye on these. And also make sure there's no damage at your service period. Take one more step further back and we have our sail drives. This is a great time to see this boat. This has just been freshly anti-fouled, prop speed on the folding props. Lagoon uses Flexifold. But as you can see how it operates when you're sailing underway, they retract just like that, reduces the drag, but when you want to engage it, they open, and you'll find what I love with the Flexifold brand, you have plenty of thrust, not just in forward, but in reverse where it really matters. For those who wish to have underwater lights, Lagoon put a provision in place. This is a reinforced flatter surface. This is obviously a full fiberglass hull below the waterline, but to make a flat surface to mount your underwater lights on, they've put provisions of 2 on each hull, inboard as well as outboard. Well, I think that wraps up my talk of the underwater profile of the Lagoon 46. If you would like to learn more about our models, please like and subscribe and give us a call if you would like more detail. I'm Rowan from TMG Yachts. Have a great day.